Force on Force features the largest and strongest outdoor military organization in the country. These are the men and women who make it possible to enjoy the freedom to hunt and fish. It is with great pride that we bring you Force on Force podcast, coming to you from the Force on Force Talk.
Hey, welcome to 2025 here on the Force on Force podcast. We're coming to you from the Force on Force Talk. I'm your host, Sean Dowerable. I know we're a little bit late this year getting started. We've had a busy first part of the year. We've had Archery Trade Association. We've been off at SHOT Show. We've been off filming Force on Force, Army Bass Anglers. We've had a lot going on this year, so we apologize. Just kind of getting started. We've enjoyed last year bringing all the episodes, and so it's just kind of taking us a little bit of time to get going. And so we want to kind of kick this thing off in 2025. We're going to bring on task force member, but it's really a cool story, but we're going to let you meet him. We'll tell you a little bit about the story, but we're going to introduce you to Eric Metcalf. You guys might have seen him on Army Bass Anglers Force Report. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing outstanding, Sean. How you doing?
I am doing good. So here's the story, and I think it's really cool with Eric. So, this is where I love, what we do, just fishing in general. I think I don't know so much what we do, but I think this is this cool thing about fishing. You never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to run into, who you're going to talk to or whatever, right? So, we're going to go down and we're going to do the first year. We're going to take over Fishing for Freedom at Lake Belton, and we go down and if you guys didn't see the episodes of the first year we did Fishing for Freedom Lake Belton, you guys can go back and watch it on the YouTube channel or go to My Outdoor TV. But you guys will notice the water level was extremely low at Lake Belton. So we got down there a little bit early because we wanted to go take a look at the boat ramps and really look at when we were going to do the weigh-in and stuff and trailers. So we get down there, we go to Flora to check out. We're going to weigh in. We walk down on the pier, and here pulls up this boat, this aluminum boat with this guy in it. And this is how we meet. We just get to talking to this guy, asking about boat ramps. And he's run into one of our other guys out there in the water. And this is how we meet and get introduced to Eric Metcalf. Find out this guy, I'm just going to tell you, he's a little bit mixed up because he spent a little bit of time in the Navy, and he's a warrant officer pilot for the Army. So, he's got all kind of issues going on, so Eric, I'm telling the story. That's how it kind of all started right there.
Yeah. I'll never forget it. I was out there just fishing, minding my own business, and one of y'all guys rolls up on me, asked me if I'm fishing the tournament this weekend. And I'm just like, no, I got to work this weekend, man. And so he starts talking about Army Bass Anglers, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds cool, all right. Then the next day, I go to my favorite spot, and he's in my spot because I told him where the fish were. And so we fish a little bit, and then I roll up to the dock. I'll just never forget that day because there's never anybody standing on the dock ever. And then there was five of you guys, right? I think
five of us, right?
Yeah, you and Senior and Marty and I think Steve, Jared, I think maybe. It was funny. I'll never forget rolling up, and I parked my little Tracker 175 that is not your grandpa's Tracker. You've seen it.
Yeah.
I think I got more money in the accessories than I do the boat. And you say, hey man, that's a nice rig you got there. Where's your ghost trolling motor? No, where's your active target?
That's right.
I said, I haven't got that yet. Then you started talking about Army Bass, and I was like, oh yeah, there's a guy out on the lake right now. He's in my favorite spot. He's one of your guys, blah, blah, blah. I think I signed up that night.
Yeah.
So,
and I was being sincere because he had the thing set up, and the only thing he was missing was the active target on the boat. He had dual 12, units on it, a ghost trolling motor on. He was stacked out. He just needed the active target on it.
it's got it now.
I know. I wasn't saying that I wasn't busted on him about it because it was he had the setup going. Going on there. So I was thinking, I'm like, man, you're just missing the one final component to that to make it go. And so it was a good deal. And then we brought you to do Force on Force last year, and you guys made it all the way to the championship round. You fished with Mike Snup.
Yep.
you know. So
Yep.
how that
That
was a
was a lot
good.
of fun. I had a blast. That was my introduction to tournament fishing, my introduction to everything. I mean, I had never fished a tournament in my life, obviously, because I didn't catch a single fish during the whole thing. But you know, it was fun. We had that was a great time. Mike's a great. We just had so much fun, and I mean, I left there with so many new friends, and I talk to Wilkes like every 2, 3 times a week now. It seems like, so, and plus a bunch of the other guys, Mike and I probably talk at least once a week, if not more
Right.
than that. And so, yeah, it's been a great experience, it really has.
Yeah, so that kind of started. So we started kind of having a conversation about you. So you before all this, you kind of got involved with another nonprofit out there that helps veterans. And I'm not talking about this all the time. It take There's a lot of the veterans that need help out there, and it takes everybody to get involved with what we do. And I say we, I'm talking about the veteran community to help out. And I say that because collectively it takes us all. And so you had started getting involved. Tell us a little bit about that part of what you do.
Yeah. So in 2022, I got introduced to this organization called Fishing with Warriors. I got a phone call from the founder actually, and he said, "Hey, my name's Al, and I want to send you to Costa Rica to fish big tarpon. I'll pay for it. You want to go?" I was like, yeah, okay, sure, sounds good. So yeah, so 2022, I went down there. The organization was founded 2015 by two Vietnam era veterans that just saw a need with veteran suicides on the rise, especially back then. The war was still going on. There was all kinds of stuff still happening, and so you know, veteran suicide rates were up there. So they wanted to do something. So they founded Fishing with Warriors, and they decided they would raise funds and send guys all over the world fishing. And yeah, so I went down there and I got lucky. I fished with one of the board members. He and I are the same age, similar backgrounds, just a nice guy, Danny. And he's like, "Hey man, you got some great ideas. Why don't you think about coming on the board?" And so about 8, 9, 10 months later, boom, I'm on the board. Now I'm the vice president of the organization. So it's been a rapid movement. But yeah, so we started sending 2015 it was founded, 2016 the first group went down. 2020 we didn't send anybody because of COVID, obviously. And then in 20 I think it was the year I went down, 2022 was the first year. So the trip to Costa Rica is all male veterans. We like to send up to 20. Usually it's 10 to 15 guys, depending on the funds we raise. And well, in 2022, they decided to send female veterans to Venice, Louisiana, doing bull reds, trout, the typical bay fish, and it's all women vets. And so that's been going on now for 3, 4 years. So 3 years now, women love it. I think my wife's a Navy vet. I think she's going this year. So go down there and catch some fish, and it's been going really good. And now we're kind of, since I met you guys and the connections that I've met through y'all, and then eventually we paired up with Army Redfish Anglers 2 years ago. And but right after we first met, you introduced me to Danny, and then we've been one of their nonprofits ever since. And this year we took Danny down and the film crew and Jared and all the guys, and we filmed. And to hopefully expand, and we're looking at sending vets to Panama City with Eric and his group, and down in Corpus. We've got a veteran up in Wisconsin that does muskie and walleye, and so it's starting to really grow. And so that's why we teamed up this year with the filming, and yeah, it's going to hit the streets in 2 weeks. Can't wait.
Yeah, so and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but you personally, let's dive a little bit into your story. I mean, and this is why you have such a heart for what you do. I mean, so and we joked about it, but you're a prior Navy guy and
Yep.
and Army. So tell us a little bit, because this kind of drives, because you always say the reason you have such a heart for it is you understand it because you've been there and done it and been a part of it.
Yeah. So right after high school, way back in 1990, I joined the Navy. There was no way I was going to college. I just didn't have the discipline or the heart or it just wasn't going to happen. So growing up in Massachusetts, right near the coast, Navy was the way to go. So went in the Navy, basic, went to tech school, showed up on my ship and said, "Hey, don't unpack because we're going to the Persian Gulf." So 3 days later, we were on the way for the Persian Gulf for Gulf One, and spent I think it was 7 or 8 months over there for that, and then came back and finished up my hitch in the Navy, and then got out, got married, got out, then went in the Army. I was an enlisted guy. I was a military police officer for a little bit, and then a field artillery guy. And then in 1999, I came across this warrant officer thing, and I'm like, "Let me check this out." And so I applied, and boom, next thing you know, I'm in warrant officer candidate school and then flight school, and flying Blackhawks for in Hawaii and Afghanistan. And then in 2008, I switched over to fixed-wing aircraft in the Army. And that's when I found myself 3 months in Iraq, 6 months home, 3 months in Iraq, 6 months home. Did that for 5 years. And then retired, God, 2013. And so just 13 days shy of 25 years total between the two services. And then went back over as a contractor, flying the same airplanes I was flying on active duty. Did that for a year. Had a missile fired at me. I said, "Okay, I'm done with this. I'm retired. I don't need this anymore." And so that's when I came to the airlines. But yeah, my passion, I mean, it's a brotherhood. It truly is brother, sisterhood. I mean, when you serve as long as we did, you can't in as many combat engagements and time overseas, and you just want to give back, and that's why I'm involved with everything I'm involved with. Between fishing with warriors and Army redfish and Army bass, and it's nonstop. But I love it. I absolutely love it. Outdoors. I love the outdoors. We all do. Anybody that does this loves the outdoors. But I grew up fishing, and I just absolutely love fishing. And when we take veterans down, even this year, watching Danny's face when he caught his first tarpon I had more enjoyment out of that because he was like a kid in a candy store. It was like, he was almost in tears. And then, when the filming was done, I let the camera guys. So Daryl, everybody knows Daryl. First time the guy ever held a gun was filming Army buck hunters.
Buck hunter.
Yep. So we take him down to Costa Rica. He's never fished before. So I'm like, "All right, man, you done filming?" "Yeah." "Okay, the next fish is yours." Well, 15 minutes later, we hook up on I think it was 145-pound tarpon. I hand the rod to him. "All right, bro, have at it." He goes, "What do I do?" I'm like,
"Hold on,
turn that crank and hold on." And he brought that thing to the boat, and so here he is, a guy who's never held a rifle, gets his first buck doing this. Never held a fishing pole, gets a 145-pound tarpon to the boat, and that's what I enjoy. It's just seeing the look on these guys' face when they bring in that monstrous fish. It's fun catching bass, but you start catching big ones. It's like, okay, this is not a bass. So,
well, and
yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, just from I talk about this a lot. It's that adrenaline rush therapy that guys miss when they were in service, and to be able to show people that there's a healthy way to go out there and chase that adrenaline without putting yourself in danger. I think that's a big part of whether it's hunting, fishing, fresh salt water. That's what what all of us are trying to do is show these individuals, because here's the thing, we may can only touch so many people in a year. Well, we touch those people, and then they go out and they touch that many more people, and they share that experience. It starts building from there. I think that's really what's kind of special about what you guys are doing with that trip. I really like what you guys are doing from the female side, because I think that's such a demographic in the military that sometimes gets so overlooked. I mean, you would know more about it than with your wife being a veteran herself, and so I think that's really, really cool that you guys have taken that off.
Yeah.
And I think
I love it.
The way y'all have approached it to give it like almost like a women's only trip. I think that's kind of a really cool way to go about doing it.
Yeah, it works great. It really does, and they seem to all enjoy it, have a great time. And, the best aspect of our trips is it's not just fishing, it's the camaraderie, it's the being around like-minded people. And, every night when we get done fishing down in Costa Rica, we all sit around. Sometimes we have mental health expert down there with us, and it goes a long way, and it really helps. And you just get to talk, about whatever you want. It's kind of nice, And a couple times gone down there, we've brought yoga instructors down there and done yoga. I haven't personally.
Oh, come on. I was about to say, please tell us you got a video of you doing yoga. Come on.
No, no, the 2 years I went down so far, we haven't brought the yoga guy down, but yeah, I love the female aspect of it, and it's brand new to us. It's brand new, and it's really, I'm hoping as the organization grows, I really hope that expands to more and more. And I think as we network out to all these different guide agencies and guides and all this throughout the country, the goal is to include more, women vets and females and just everybody, because we're all working together now. I mean, there's women on submarines, there's women fighter pilots. It's way different. When I first joined in the early '90s, it was unheard of. But that's how my wife and I met, because she was one of the first females on a combat ship in the Navy. It was an experiment. Just happened to be my ship, and 31 years later, we're still together. So, but giving back that aspect is awesome, and just to see it develop and get the feedback from the ladies and the guys too. I mean, the guys that we send down there, I mean, I've yet to hear one negative comment from anybody that's ever gone down. I mean, even there's no TV, you're down there in the jungle on a river, secluded. You got to fly in. There's no roads, there's no cars, there's no nothing. You fly in, you get on a boat, you go up the river, you get on a boat, you fly out. It's nice. It's peaceful. So
Yeah, I think that's the way it's supposed to be. And like sometimes we get too burdened by everything that's going on that we got to take time to kind of unplug and kind of reset. I think that's why I say that it needs all these different organizations to be reaching out and doing these kind of things, because we just look at like all the stuff that a lot of us have been through in combat deployments and everything else, that it takes a village to really reach out and reach people, because for one, geographically across the country is not enough to reach everybody out there. And I think that's what's great about all of us working together. Last week, we were filming the Army Bass Anglers down in Florida. We actually did some stuff with the paralyzed veterans Florida chapters down. I had two of the guys come in, fish with us, and just the it's same deal with all that. It's another demographic nonprofit that's reaching individuals, that teaching them that they still can go out and do the things that they did before they were severely injured from combat and things like that. Or some of them are like one of the guys that fished with us. It was a non-combat. He was in an F-16 and pulling G's and collapse of the spinal cord vessels around there, blood vessels around there, and it caused paralyzation. And so that's why our stuff we do is so dangerous, and we sacrifice normalcy to come back in the real world. So it's nice to have organizations that when stuff does happen, that you can teach you that you can still go out and have fun. The other thing too, I think it's good, Eric, and I wonder if you've seen this. I see it all the time. We've traded what normalcy is in life, and I think those kind of activities and what you guys are doing, what we've done, it lets people that we bring in see that our normal, what everybody else thinks we're strange, right? I mean, I laugh, right? But what I think it lets when we let our guard down at those events and with everybody else, it lets the people that are struggling understand that it's normal for you to be different than everybody else who didn't get. That's our normal now. Our normal is to feel
Yep.
outside of that, and it's normal to have these feelings. It's normal to your program completely different than everybody. I don't think we do a really good job, no matter how long you served in the military, to be like to deprogram guys, because guys and girls, you're never going to come back, and you're never going to feel normal like I mean, you're talking about getting shot at by a missile and things like that, right? I mean,
Right.
people
Yeah.
cannot understand like the pucker factor that comes from the moment,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
takes place.
It's life changing for sure. I'll tell you that. So,
And, and, and so I think that to be able to help individuals understand, hey, guess what? You're not. There's nothing wrong with you to feel this way. That's just your new the normal for being a veteran to feel these things. You're gonna feel them. And guess what? We're gonna teach you healthy ways to cope and to deal with things and to get things out. I think that's.
yeah, and that's really what's nice about like our organization. We take all veterans. It does not just combat veterans. I
Yeah,
mean, the year that I went down there in 2022, that's just a regular vet. We had a Marine Corps Vietnam era sergeant major. We had a lieutenant general who had just retired,
right.
who was a leader in Special Operations Command, and then we had a National Guard guy, and we had a recruiter. You know, the whole gamut. We had the whole everything from Vietnam vets to general.
And I think that's
It
really
was
really cool to have that gamut across. People may like, well, what's a general do? I think that's important because when they're there, they let their guard down and they start telling story or telling the emotional side of what it's like to be a general officer, right?
oh
I
yeah.
don't I don't think people look at those guys and they're like, oh, they're like robot. They're not. They're normal people
Mhm.
just like everything else. Guess what? They go through the same emotions that a specialist does.
Yes, they do.
And so I think it's good that
Yeah.
when you can get them in that kind of environment, because all those other people that are there, they're going to go back, and how many other people they're going to touch and talk to and be able to tell this interaction they've had on a I call it non-threatening level with
Right. Yeah.
a retired, even a retired general officer in a deal. I think there's too many times we put these guys up on a pedestal to do that. That's why I say for us, the biggest thing we do is at our level, retired warrant, not senior warrant officer, retired lieutenant colonel, we have to be able to communicate those things that we struggle with because it lets the more junior guys know that it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to
Oh yeah.
be, and I think that's what those scenarios to have that whole mix and the gamut of guys to talk about. And I do think it's good to bring in the non-combat guys. I think because it's just as important for the non-combat guys because they sacrifice so much stuff sometimes that we as combat guys, you realize it, but I think sometimes we don't really do a good job of communicating that to the general public. So there's almost like this aura of these guys sometimes feel like, well, I don't have as cool a story as say
Yeah.
somebody, but everybody in the military has with that story, that they
Yeah. Well, it's
sacrifice.
it's it's funny you say that because like our founder Al, the guy that founded the organization, he was a National Guard, non-combat, did what 4 or 5 years in the Guard, got out, and it's funny because you sit down, you talk to him, he's like, I don't really consider myself. I'm like, Al, yeah, okay. So you didn't do the combat? Well, look what you've done. You've grown, you've founded this organization and that's doing all this amazing things, and because he'll sit down there and just listen like this year. I mean, me, Danny, and Jared would just sit there, yap, 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 while we're sitting there, talking about our experience. And I was just like, oh, I just don't have that. I'm like, no, you don't have that experience, but you founded this organization. Look, you've done other things. So it's nice to see, like everybody coming together, getting along. Yeah, teaming up with Army Redfish has been just an absolute amazing for us, for our organization. It's just been great. I mean, when you first told me about it, you said, "Well, you're saltwater and Danny's saltwater, and let me get you in touch with them." Man, those guys, the whole team down there in Corpus have been they were right out the gate. They were like, "Oh yeah, yeah, let's put the emblem on our boats and let's get it on the uniform. Let's get this and let's get the name out and let's do that." I mean, they just took us in. And the founder of one of the other nonprofits, Objective 22, he and we have since really started to, because he does the same stuff. His stuff is, hey, you're feeling,
Yeah.
you feel you got issues, call me, I'll get you on the water. We do it once, twice a year. He's doing it like every weekend
Right.
with local guides. So that's a fantastic, and that's something that that I and the organization want to expand for us is to start doing that. That's why, Wilkes is starting to reach out and be like, hey, let's pair up for local guys, some guys in Florida or Southern Georgia or whatever. And then guys in Texas, we can send them down to Corpus and go fishing down there with, Roebling and Danny and all those guys that have their own charter businesses down there. It's perfect. It's funny because I joke about it all the time. When I met Frank on the water, and I just kind of went, okay, I'll think about it. But then when I ran into you guys, and you guys gave me crap about my boat.
I never gave you crap. I was being serious. I was like, this thing decked out. It's just an active target too. Like you don't see that many like aluminum boats like set up like that nice, right? I'm being serious.
Yeah. But it's been a game changer. It's been life altering for not just myself, but our organization and the veterans. It's amazing. And the fact that we're about to hit the air in 2 weeks, this organization, nobody knew it outside of Westboro, Massachusetts. They never heard of it ever. It was just a local thing. They did a golf tournament every year and raised some money, and then people applied, and now, I mean, in 2 weeks, it's going to be, our emblem's going to be all over the world, really, and so it's just incredible to see, when I first announced that we were doing this film, and on my social media, Fishing with Warriors webpage had a 200% increase in hits in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And so in 2 weeks from now, I can't even fathom. It's so intense. We have a new website coming online to handle what we're hoping to handle. So it's awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah. So what he's talking about is Army Redfish Force on Force, part of the Army Bass Angler trilogy that we produce is airing right now on the Sportsman's Channel. So how many episodes did you guys film?
We did 3 episodes. So we did episodes. So episodes 8, 9, and 10 is season 2 for Redfish.
Yeah.
Basically, Danny fished with one of the board members each day. So he fished with Al, the founder, the first day to talk about how he founded the organization. And then the second day he went out with Kevin, one of our board members, Kevin Bureau, great guy, and talked about what we're doing right now. And then the last episode he fished with me, finally caught a tarpon. Just going to say that with me. And, but we talk about the future, and it's just, the fact that we did these 3 episodes, it's kind of a game changer, really, for the whole organization. I mean, we're just anticipating so much growth, and I hope it goes from raising money just from a golf tournament to, hey, who are these guys? Let's donate some money to these guys, and go check them out. Check out our website.
Well, and I think I think raising the awareness too, like what you guys are doing to get people in the outdoors. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do. And I really like what you guys are doing from the female side. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, I think that's such a big push in the outdoors hunting and fishing world anyways. And for you guys to recognize that you need only because I serve with some really good female officers along the way, and I mean, some of them kept me alive. I mean, when they were doing intel stuff for us and things like that, right?
Yep.
And so I've served some good ones along the way, and so to realize the need to reach out and reach something that's not really being met along the way, and it's such a big coming on. I think it's really going to help promote what you guys are doing. I think that's something that I don't think we do enough. We talk about veterans, but we just, we all, we have as the military has evolved in that perspective, we haven't talked so much about specifically women focused events. Cause I think it's a comfort factor in the way you guys are approaching. I think that's really, really cool. The way you guys are approaching that piece of it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm really think it's going to expand even more and more as time goes, and I really want to see it grow. The girls have a great time now. I mean, I'm kind of jealous because I'm a redfish trout guy, and I want to go.
But I mean, Venice, Louisiana, that's a good place to go do it at. That's
Oh,
you know,
it's the heart of it. It's right
yeah,
there. I mean,
yeah, no,
yeah.
that's where you want to do it. They go out there and get on those redfish and get to doing it. You know, when you think of redfish, you think of Venice, Louisiana. Everybody thinks about that place, kind of being the capital of it, and so to get them out there. But just what you guys are doing in general, all around it, for veterans, that's what we need more of to reach. I think that's so key. Just guys giving back along the way and reaching, because like I said, if you guys are doing it in a certain part of the country, this group's doing it in this part of the country, this group, that's what we need, because that may inspire people to do it from a bigger picture perspective. Because I look at it this way: you guys are going to grow as an organization, but it's not just you guys growing; it's the people that you never know how many people that you may just inspire to take veterans out and go fishing that
Oh,
you may never hear about. And I think that's
yep.
really the cool story that you don't. Those are the ones you don't ever hear. And it may not just be fishing; it may be hunting. Because I know you have a passion for hunting too. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do.
you, you like to hunt too. So you never know like how it does from a perspective, who you're going to inspire, and how you're going to inspire them along the way. And so I think that's a really cool deal from to getting out there and talking about how it's just something started, and to get out there and people. I'll say this, like, oh man, they're going to Costa Rica. I'd love to go to Costa Rica. Well, these dudes sacrificed a lot in their life, and when we say, for them to be able to, experience something like that once in their life, I mean, it's the least that some of them could ever be part of, ever out there. And I think that's really, when we look at from a grateful nation, it's just that a piece of it that's like, hey, how do you know, all the stuff we do, it's going to be great. Hey, Eric, I really appreciate, you, and everything you do. And I enjoy just,
Yeah.
being a part. We had you at Fishing for Freedom this year, you and your wife helping out, and
Oh, yeah.
you going out and taking somebody out. And,
Well,
more importantly,
this year, I'm going to be able to take more because I just bought that big old Mayak, and I'll throw a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
bets on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not only that, but he cooked dinner for us one night
I
down
did.
there, and so it was really good, and so a lot of good stuff. You know, here's the thing: you might get on an airplane one day, and Eric might be your captain. So
That's a true statement right there.
that's a true statement. So just keep that in mind. So, never miss a dual opportunity with everything that we do. You never know where we're going to show up at, who we're going to be at. But I appreciate it. Hey guys, we got a lot of great stuff going on with all the brands at Army Bass, Buck, Duck, Hog, and Redfish. We're getting ready to go to Indianapolis this week. A lot of things on the horizon, a lot of great things across all the brands. We're going to have a lot of great guests coming up this year for the podcast. We're just starting to work through all that with everything lined up, getting filming, all this stuff for the year. And so we just kind of wanted to kick it off for something that was special. And I think bringing Eric on to talk about it was a great show to kick off the 2025 Force on Force podcast. Hey, we appreciate you guys. You want to know about Army Buck, Duck, Hog, and Redfish, go to ForceOnForceTV.com, and we'll see you next time. Cool?
Thanks for listening to the Force on Force podcast. Join us next time as we dive into more topics from the Force on Force talk. For more information or to learn how to join the organization, visit our website at ForceOnForceTV.com.